This is the place to be.
Yeah. This is the place to be. Yeah. Innovation Days.
Hello, everybody. This is Morten from Inkish. It is a pleasant surprise today to introduce to you two of my good friends, John and Andreas from CoCoCo. And when I smile a little bit about this, I was only expecting Andreas. So when John was the first one that showed up, I was just like, that is not Andreas. And it wasn't. So, but both of you, very warm welcome here on Inkish. So welcome.
Thanks so much, Morten.
Thanks, Morten, for having us.
Always. It's been with interest that, it's always interesting to follow new starters in the industry. And I think that CoCoCo, as still a very young company, you have achieved quite a lot of exposure in the industry in just less than a year's time, right?
It is. As a matter of fact, we founded the company at the 8th of April last year, and so now it is. Yes, it is. It's a first birthday kind of shortly after Hunkeler Innovationdays. But you're right. It is. We made a journey. We delivered some new products. We delivered some new integrations, some new customers also. Most important. And yeah, happy now to go to Hunkeler Innovationdays and to show this to a broader audience.
John, what has the year looked like from your side? Because you are the one that is not as publicly outspoken, I would say, as Andreas is normally, right?
I think that's fair. I like the idea of being described as not outspoken. It's been really interesting, and I think kind of having had Drupal so soon after our founding, it was an incredible opportunity to really test our ideas against customers in the market and learn. I think that's kind of maybe been the key watchword over the last year is refining and learning and trying to make more and more appropriate our solution for the market.
So was it this learning experiences, that is like going back to the computers and basically rethink a little bit also some of the more basic ideas, or was it more the approach to market, or how deep was the learning experience?
It was comprehensive, but not necessarily in that let's go back to the whiteboard and rethink everything. I think what we came away with was an understanding that the concept was really sound, but what we needed to do was to make it more universal and to make it more easily adoptable by anyone who wanted to get involved. And so the key takeaway, I think, for us was that this process should be so simple that there is no reason not to do it. And I think if we kind of all understand a lot of the pain points that the industry experiences, is that there's this world of possibility out there, but quite often how far we go with it is curtailed or is limited by just how many steps there are required to get started with any project. And we really just wanted to make that life easier for people.
And Andreas, correct me if I'm wrong, but for people that don't know CoCoCo, the idea is basically that because so many services today are moved into the cloud, and where it can be a little bit more difficult than on-site connectors kind of thing, this is about how you can connect different services using, let's say, standardized connectivity, similar to how we know it maybe from Zapier, things like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I think if you compare us with Zapier or Make.com and do kind of a statement that we are the Zapier for the printing industry, you're nearly right. It is much more on the other side, but it is the goal of our platform, of our solution, is that we integrate everything which is around in the most easy way. So we're not coming with add-on tools. We're not coming with, hey, if you want to work with us, you need this imposition, you need that. That's our best in breed approach. We are, from our point of view, we are the best in integration and easy integration, and others are the best in imposition in XYZ. So we make it easy to integrate between A and B. I always, as we are kind of in the same age, We are the barbelfish of the printing industry. Everybody who knows Hitchhiker Through the Galaxy knows the barbelfish. And we translate from into, so from every source into every other source. But being the barbelfish means also that we are the data layer in the middle. So all the data is stored at a central place, is then available for every player. And this is unique right now because even if JDF is around since 22 years, everybody has his silos. And we connect all those silos. We store all the data and make the magic happen. Because this is what is missing today is how do you find out exactly what is happening if I'm changing this in pre-press at that stage in post-press, and what effects does it have on the OEE of my machines, for example?
I'm going to talk about that a little bit deeper in a second, but I was just wondering because one of the things that John mentioned is that it was maybe not back to the whiteboard and start all over the place from your Drupal experience. You mostly work with customers and face, let's say, the customers, potential customers, and current customers. Did the Drupal experience also change the narrative a little bit from your perspective?
I think so. We had new discussions, we had new ideas, and you know our background. I think the major takeaway from Drupal was, hey, we are right. Our idea is right. So let's go with it. And there is something which John didn't mention, which I really like, is being a young company and being a young software vendor means also that you can adapt easily. We don't have all those old background legacy software, which can't be changed anymore because it was installed the first time 20 years ago. Don't get me wrong. I hope this will happen in 20 years' time, not today. But right now we are fast. We are a fast-moving ship. And we had a customer, for example, we've integrated within 2 days, including new integrations. This is something, it's kind of light speed. If I'm thinking about my previous experiences in integrations, and I think many customers are facing this situation. There's a beauty in this, and this makes things much easier than expected, to be honest.
Also at Drupal, John, I was passing by the SIP4 booth since Andreas now is talking about JDF. I think that the latest version of SIP4 and JDF probably also make your work a little bit easier, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be a press release from us sometime in the next few days. We've joined SIP4 as members, and we absolutely are incredibly grateful to all the hard work that they have done and continue doing. I think it's fair to say that what we do today wouldn't be possible without their leadership in terms of the thought and in terms of the action on this. And I think kind of what we're trying to do is take that specification document and turn it into a living platform. And it's been a real pleasure to slowly get to know those people much better and to see the direction it's going in, which is really encouraging. I think that our role here is not to say that JDF is dead, anything but. I think our role here is to really leverage all of the capabilities of these documents and specifications, whether it's JDF or XJDF or Print Talk, and unlock what can happen next using this kind of technology as well as others. It's really exciting.
And that leads also because, I mean, the very nature of CoCoCo is, of course, a very collaborative let's say, approach to a lot of different players in the market. Because I mean, essentially, as you said, Andreas, if you need to connect to a lot of different, let's say, services and platforms, I guess that also, even though there are open standards more and more, I guess that you still need to have a relatively close collaboration and an acceptance from all the people that you integrate with, right?
And this is something which is very interesting because it was a challenge before, but it became much easier now.
Because you have that independency, or?
I think because of the independency, but also because of the statement that we integrate for you. So before we've asked the vendors to integrate with us, and right now we are saying, hey, we do the integration work for you. And this is proven now. I'm seeing, looking at John, We had situations where we've met the customer or the partner a day before and a day afterwards we had the first integration. Coming back to the beauty of being young, coming back to the beauty of being modern, all the technology, but it's about trust. And this is how, from our point of view, it works. It is, I want to become the trusted partner to our customers, but also to the different vendors. And we play it in a way that this is kind of I'm more a guy of gentlemen's agreements than of contracts. And this is what I see all over the last year is more and more coming in the industry, that you really kind of, let's work together, let's make this happen because it is good for the customer. Then focusing on, okay, this is something I do typically and I don't want anybody involved. The vendors are understanding that we are here to help. We don't want to get away margin or get margin away from them. We want to help them that they can focus on their stuff, on their solutions, and we focus on the integrations and we help the customers to make things happen which were not available before.
So I understand that. I understand what you are doing and achieving, and I understand a little bit about the technology background. But let's talk a little bit about a customer, because I mean, with everything that is provided in the market, it is about what kind of advantages does a customer have working with any vendor, and in this case, CoCoCo. Because one thing is understanding that you have a lot of services that goes on somewhere, and you may not know where. Another thing is how that can benefit my business. Andreas, I think you told me at Drupa that it was like connecting, for example, an MIS system with some workflow system basically enables seamless integration of files that eventually end up in a production line.
The goal is, and I think there is our unique proposition to the market, our goal is to connect everything between order income, ERP system to logistics. Being able to integrate everything in a seamless and easy way. Make all data available just in time, also a bit different than some other approaches, and share the data with everybody who is connected. And with everybody needs, this is also a new approach, and we're gonna work on this. I'm gonna show this the first time at Hunkeler Innovationdays. We will work in future with unlimited integrations. So if you are a customer and you are going with us, we come with an affordable subscription. And in this subscription is any integration you want to have included. So we are not going to charge you by the number of integrations. We charge you by the number of sites, and that's it. And we have a smaller package, we have a bigger package. The idea is that data should be available for everybody at every time, at every place, in the most easy way.
Okay, sorry to, maybe I'm stupid, but I just wanted to be much more clear I mean, basically, what is it that I get from this? I mean, because we talk about integrations and points and all these kind of things, but I mean, can you give me an example of, let's say, something that is not possible to do if you're not integrating CoCoCo?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we look at an average PSP, they have software and hardware from many different vendors that they've picked to solve specific challenges. But as Andreas said previously, one of the problems that this normally ends up with is you end up with silos of available data. For example, your shop floor data collection system has data on what's happening here, but that's then going to be in a different place to your workflow system quite often, or in a different place to your press controls. And so trying to understand an accurate view of everything that's happening in real time is very difficult. Now, we're working with a customer in the States at the moment to unify all of their data streams, tick, and then act on that data so that they can identify problems in their production much earlier in the production process.
So that means
when does it happen?
So
not
that means that
later.
So that means that all the data that you get from the production floor goes into some kind of management system where you can basically take action. It's interesting because I spoke to Spencer Metrics the other evening that are also exhibiting, and I have always been very fascinated by what they do. But basically, what they do, they take the metrics of all the machines and bring that together, but they don't have any actions going on that, right? So basically, let's say that you were working with a company using something like Spensometrics. Basically, you can say that, okay, if this happens, then do this with that service. So you're the one that enable some kind of action based on the data that you receive. Is that correct? Or
Absolutely that. We're calling this technology reactions. So when something happens, you have the ability to act upon it. And that might be notifying Microsoft Teams, that might be sending an email to the production supervisor, it might be shutting something down. That's up to you. And what we want to give you is the possibility to take decisions based on your data in real time.
And what about, because one thing is that you understand and set up these things and it can be configured to the needs of a printing company. Does that also give the PSP, let's say, a monitoring tool about what is going on in this company based on the services that you provide, or how do you see what is going on?
So I think one thing that Andreas said earlier is really appropriate here, which is that we want to give you enough tools to be able to benefit from our solution. So yeah, you can get an overview of that. But if you really want to dive into that data, then I don't know, Power BI, Tableau, solutions like this are also really valuable.
Something else that has specialized in the visuals of it. Okay, I get it. Okay.
Exactly that. Yeah, let's pick the right tool for the right job and try and help people use those things with all of their data.
When I listen
sorry, now I am the one interrupting. I'm sorry, but I think this is adding to the Spensometrics, and this is a perfect example for me. We are not in the competition with Spensometrics because we're not only gathering the data. For us, Spensometrics is a partner. So integration with Spensometrics offers them the possibility to use the data stream we are collecting from all sources and display them in their solution. But as John said, the solution could also be, because it is easier for the customer to use it, it could also be a Google Sheet. It could be Business Power BI. It could be Excel. It could be an API. It could be a source or somebody outside of our industry which does cool things with data. And this means that we could be the base for an AI solution, for example, that you feed the system with AI or feed AI with our data so that you can track the data.
So the learning data can come basically from all the sources that you provide in the printing company. Andreas, when you sell the solution, and I know still it's still like relatively early days, but when you sell the solutions, is it to the CTOs or the CEOs or the production management? Because it seems that there's a lot of advantages that also has to do with let's say the operation, of course, right? But it also seems that the C-level should see a lot of advantages in utilizing, because what I hear you saying is also that if you have invested in this workflow system and this ERP system and this whatever system, then you basically get more value out of these systems just by connecting your dots, right?
And that is the point. That is the statement, the holy grail. You have existing machines. You need more output. Sorry, because you want to grow. So we are enabling our partners. Sorry, we are enabling, I hope it works better now, we are enabling our customers to get more out of the same equipment than before. Because also, let's face it, if the connections these days are limited by itself, because it's one-to-one, having all the data at one place is enabling you to grow with your existing equipment. And while you've asked about who is our partner or who is our counterpart if it comes to sales, we discussed this internally, and this was the reason why John and me were smiling yesterday and today about personas, and you know all this. And thinking about the customers we have today, we are solving at every customer a different problem. This was the initial thing, kind of the hook. But then they stepped in and understood the bigger picture. And then now this comes to the C-level. It started somewhere also on the C-level, or at some customers on the C-level, but now it comes to the C-level where they see, okay, now I can connect this, now I can get an overview, now I can use this data, now I can share this with my service team, with the possibilities are unlimited, and I'm quite sure that this is like an iceberg. We are thinking about the top 20% right now, but there are 80% below sea level of possibilities with data.
One thing is, and we're going to talk about it in a moment as well, but you have spent a lot of time that basically anybody should be able to connect with these different services that you provide. But I mean, one thing is connecting the service, but how do you make the logic in each of these services to, let's say, okay, we have, I'm not sure if it's the right picture, but if you have this is the dot that where all the data goes into, but there's a logic saying that if bigger than one, it goes to this one, if smaller than one, it goes to this one. How is that something that you help customers with, or does it require some, let's say, kind of understanding on data flow and how to program the different, let's say, modules, or how does that work?
John?
I think the answer there, and I think Carl somewhere in the background will laugh at this point, is that it depends. What we want to do is we want to provide the simplest possible batteries included solution. And so for an average use case, we want to be able to handle how that works for you. Now, there will always be more complicated use cases, and there will always be a role for specialist workflow solutions to come in and handle contextual logic of how something should work in this situation or another. And we're working with several partners on that front to build best-in-class integrations with those kinds of tools as well.
So does that mean that, let's say, a module that let's say you have something that maybe I'm not using the right words, but if you have something that connects, there's a basic functionality that automatically fits the nodes, and then basically if you need more complex thing to it, this module still has it, but then it needs to be developed and programmed specifically to the application, or?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I think so. For most of the integrations with applications, the integration itself will deliver data to the application, and then we'll pull the data back from that application again. And so whether it's pre-flighting a file or whether it's doing imposing, we can send and ingest all the data in these use cases. And that forms the basis for the next part of the chain to move forwards and work. So we're pretty comprehensive, I think, on that side of things. I think maybe the interesting thing comes from, like you said to begin with, like when do you want to make a decision based on that data? And what we have using that same reactions technology we were talking about earlier, a lot of cases it's very simple to do that, because in our world what we want people to do is to think about the smallest possible units, like a job has been cleared for press, which press do we send it to? Or a file has been uploaded, what happens now? Not building full workflows, but just looking at that moment in time and very simple decision making. I think one interesting thing that comes as a result of that is because of keeping everything to be as simplified as possible, but without losing the subtlety. It forms a really great basis for asking computers to make decisions as well. And maybe the upshot of unifying all your data is you do make it very simple for more modern techniques like machine learning or artificial intelligence to act on that data. And we'll be debuting some really exciting technology at Hunkeler in that area as well, which we are super enthusiastic about.
I'm talking about Innovationdays. It's just a couple of weeks ago, away from here. I mean, it's always like when you talk about computers, it's always like you can't. I mean, you can open the computer and show some bits and bytes and some memory, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. So, how will you show your technology at Innovationdays?
John, me.
So I think there's two things that we'll kind of be looking to showcase. One is the simplicity of how you get set up. So that kind of walk-through scenario of starting with an empty, clean slate and ending up with a connected print shop. And I don't know, Morten, if you know anyone that's interested, we'd happily take the challenge of proving how simple that is to anybody.
Okay, so you're challenging me.
I think that's
Absolutely.
the point we should challenge him.
I think we should do, yes. In fact,
you
Morten, you are hereby challenged.
You should have prepped me for this. Oh, you did. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. So basically what you're asking me is to find somebody that knows about the complexity of what you are offering, and bring them to your booth, and then we basically film and show how easy it is to create a virtual network for all these. Is that the challenge?
Yeah, if possible, that'd be amazing. We're confident in where we are.
I would like to take on that challenge. So now it's more about finding the right day for it, right?
Brilliant.
If somebody's listening to this podcast, you can apply to me, send me an email, and I will sort it out.
That's great. And I think the other thing then, just going back to that original topic that we want to show as well, is what happens when you do bring all your data into one place? What are the possibilities at that point? So we have some AI tooling that we'll be debuting for the first time. And like you said previously, computers are often a bit of a black box. And what we found with some customers is if we start talking about kind of the possibilities of AI, then people take a step back from that because they don't understand, because you can't look inside and understand what all these electrons are doing. But if we think about data really as nothing other than the foundation of understanding, and we then start talking about telling computers how they can understand the data and how you want that then to act, we've formed the basis of a really easy way to derive programmatic behaviors, but based on real world human language, human interactable and human understandable concepts. And that's going to be something really exciting to come and look at.
Of course, and I mean, it's kind of funny because I mean, when you turn on your word processor, right, you don't think about what's going on inside the computer. You just happens to have experienced it for the last 30, 40 years, right? I just think it's sometimes when you have this, the complexity of what is actually possible to do with computers today continues to surprise not just me, but a lot of people that the capabilities. I mentioned Zapier earlier, and that is just because I think that Zapier is, and I know there's other tools as well, but the fact that you have like a user interface where you can say, I have this application that triggers this kind of thing, and then you have like an output for this one. And I guess that when I start realizing how it can be done for simple applications like Microsoft 365 or Dropbox or CRM systems, of course, what you're doing is way more complex because the amount of data and I guess there's a lot of verification that you get the right data to the right point to be sure that what the machines and the other softwares are getting is in compliance basically. But I think that is also part of the value proposition that you offer to make it simple, right?
Exactly, that's what we do. And I think one of the reasons why this is difficult is because it requires that structured, standardized understanding of data with all the modeling in the middle of it to act as the referee, if you like, between what that data over there might mean, what is needed over here. And by using ourselves as that Babelfish in the middle of it all, then we're in a position where we can really help build the next generation of connectivity.
Last few questions here. Just wondering, the size of companies that should be interested in what CoCoCo does, is that like is it very scalable from the very small companies to the very big companies, or is there like a preference for companies that should look into your services?
I think we have now between, I would say, 20 employees companies and 200 or 250 employees companies in the States.
So it's quite broad, actually.
But and as a matter of fact, we are also talking to companies who have 10,000 employees. The need is always the same. This is the point. The size of the departments is different. Sometimes we meet somebody where we can hand over the solution, and here is a description how the interface works, and they do it on their own, or we do a little bit of training because they don't have a department which can handle that. But the system itself, it's also maybe interesting, is set up in a way that this will be available worldwide and could handle the complete printing industry. We are not aiming for being the big brother in the background. That's not the point. But the solution is something which can be used all over the world, and it could be used also to connect different sites on different continents, for example. So there is no. This is a big discussion between the three of us. Carl is missing today. Sorry for that. But what is our target group? And I think we are all agree that our target group is the printing industry, and even the printing industry. It is not only offset; it is digital. It is all types of printing and all work steps, all steps in between, just the printing industry.
Fantastic. Guys, as always, pleasure talking to you, and I can't wait to take up the challenge in Lucerne. I must think about that hard, but it will be fun, and I think it will also be great to see you. Will Carl also be in Lucerne, or? Okay, so
yeah.
The three of you will be there, so we can talk to the entire Brain Trust, and not just 2/3 of it, right?
Exactly.
Fantastic. But anything you want to add to on the last note, or is this the pitch for coming to Innovation Days?
Please come to Innovation Days. Please visit us. Mm-hmm. We are happy to have everybody at our stand, and we will make sure that you don't miss it due to the color code we will use, but this will be a surprise afterwards. And if you are right now as a company in the situation that you need an integration, do us a favor, bring your interface documents, maybe on day 1 or day 2, and we promise you that we can have an integration at the end of the show. So
okay,
we are really confident that we can handle that.
That is actually an even better challenge than me finding somebody who should be challenged on creating the first one, right? But guys, I think it's very convincing that, and I have, as you know, written several times about what you do, because I think this is tremendously important for people to understand that this is really something that can bring your printing company to the next level. So I hope you will be very successful at Innovation Days, and I look forward to see you both.
Thank you. Thanks
Likewise,
a lot for your time.
Martin. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.